and the rain has gone. So, how about that?
Driving, 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 music's blaring in my ears. Engines roaring, 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 the horizon's drawing near. Pedal to the floor, no more feet in the door, gonna drive right out of this bitter night.
Hi, welcome to Nonprofit Insider. My name is David Unger, and I'm pleased to be hosting a show with executive directors and key people of local nonprofits in our community. I've worked in the nonprofit world for over 30 years. In those years, I've realized that the majority of the community does not know about the organizations that provide critical services and benefits to our community that we sometimes take for granted. This is a chance to hear about the organizations that touch so many in our community. The opinions expressed on Nonprofit Insider are not necessarily those of WMPG, its staff and underwriters, or of USM. I have to announce it again, and I don't like doing this, but we had another cancellation from one of the gubernatorial candidates that was supposed to be here today. Representative Michaud canceled on Wednesday afternoon, so unfortunately, we will not be able to reschedule Governor LePage or Representative Michaud until the elections. I kind of feel like, Deb, it's the MPBN debate last night where they all said they were going to be here and no one shows up except Mr. Cutler.
It's pretty bad, isn't it? Maybe it's your aftershave.
Might be. So, well, hopefully in 4 years, we'll have the opportunity to do it again.
We'll have this nailed.
Okay. And today, replacing Representative Michaud, and I know that's going to be tough to do, is Donna Dwyer. Is that correct? Dwyer.
That's correct.
Okay. And Donna is the executive director of My Place Teen Center. Welcome.
Welcome so much. So you're telling me I'm Donna Plan B Dwyer.
No.
Oh, yes.
You were Plan A next week. And
okay.
My next line was going to tell you about your flexibility and how much I appreciate it. When I called you yesterday morning, I said, please, can you do it? And you said yes.
She doesn't have anything else to do, so we'll call her.
Oh, man. Okay, you want to be like that? Ooh, this is going to be a great interview. All gloves are off on this one.
I brought my security detail.
You brought
They're
your
outside.
security detail? Okay. So what is the organization nobody wants to hear about that we happen to bring you in on?
Well, I think that everyone wants to hear about My Place Teen Center.
Okay, well, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about it? Because I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it'll last 10 seconds, but go ahead.
We're located in the heart of downtown Westbrook.
We're being serious now, right?
Yes, we are. We're going
Okay.
to the spiel, the elevator pitch. Here it comes. We'll get into the good stuff.
Okay.
So we're located in the heart of downtown Westbrook. And we are an after-school program for kids, all kids, ages 10 to 18. We specialize in kids most at risk. Some of our kids are hungry. Some of our kids are traumatized. But we meet them exactly where they're at. We're open 5 days a week, 5 hours a day, year-round. So it's a very robust, comprehensive program.
And how long has the center been open?
16 years. It is
Wow.
a teenager as well.
Wow. And you've been the executive director there how long?
For 3.5.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what were you doing before that?
Right before then, I was actually working on developing a multi-sport athletic club in Scarborough. But you may all recall that the market crashed. We were part of that.
Okay. And
You had to bring that up.
well, you did tell me about it at the beginning, so you gave me information to work from.
Yes.
So, is this your first executive director position in a social service agency?
No, it's my third.
Okay. What do you find some of the challenges you're seeing right now in being an exec of a social service agency?
Well, I think the short answer,
And you're not allowed to use the word funding.
which is the most complicated answer, is cash.
Okay. So funding is a major issue for you.
Funding is a major issue, and I'm sure you hear that from all the executive directors. That's a very complicated way to describe what is the biggest challenge. but it has many nuances and subtleties attached to attracting funding through our magical red doors.
Right. So when you talk about cash, and you have it sounds like a fairly unique niche of a type of program. You're only open for 4 or 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. So it's kind of small in size compared to some of the other programs.
Well, I guess I would say that comparatively, when we're talking about other after school programs, we're actually quite large, and we have an extended day compared to other after school programs. So, in that aspect, we're a robust program of that nature. We are not a Sweetser. We're not an Opportunity Alliance. We're a standalone agency all on our own. So, I think that because we don't have departments and there's an executive director and then the frontline staff, which there are 8 of us at this point, is that we really are grassroots Herculean in our endeavors to keep those red doors open and having to be very creative.
And you're community-based versus county or statewide or
We're
regionally based.
We're not statewide, but we do serve Greater Portland and York County at this point, is that we've really spread our wings. And the more that kids are hearing about us, they're taking the Metro bus to get to us. Their parents are dropping them off.
So you have kids from York County coming up to Westbrook for this program?
Absolutely.
5 days a week?
Not 5 days a week. Well, we actually have 2 kids from Standish that come come all days and the entire time that we're open. We have several teens coming from Portland. They're coming from all over Greater Portland and York County. None from Kittery.
Okay.
So,
Wow. I didn't realize your reach was that extensive. I
yes,
thought it was
it's grown.
Westbrook-based.
It's grown. Our location is Westbrook, but probably about 10% of our population, we serve over 500 kids, come from away, beyond our
Wow.
borders.
So how many teens or young adults do you service a day on an average?
Well, gladly and happily, we serve between 80 to 90 kids a day. So where we're located is in a former United Methodist Church. We own the building. We have a 40-year mortgage on the building. I never knew such a thing existed.
They do strange things for nonprofits.
Yes, isn't that wonderful? We have 30 years left to go on
Okay.
that mortgage. And so when in that 10,000 square foot building, we have 80 or 90 kids. So you can imagine the controlled chaos that is My Place Teen Center.
And you had mentioned something else when we were doing our sound check, that you have a diverse population of young adults who attend this.
Yes, so we work with all kids. It doesn't matter. You just have to be a kid walking through our red doors. But
Do you really have a red door?
we have 2 red doors.
2 red doors. Okay.
It's part of our logo.
Okay, I saw the logo, but I didn't know you actually had the red doors.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not a facade. They're really real. They're very magical. And when kids come through the red doors, they transform. They change.
We're going to come back to the diversity of your kids, but you used the term magical several times.
Yes.
Why are you magical? What separates you from everybody else who does this type of program?
Because our business model is to transform lives and to save lives. And so when I first entered the job, I wasn't sure if it was going to be enough. If it were going to be enough of a challenge. For me, intellectually, come on, this is just an after-school program. And so I thought, is this just like yippee skippy? Come on, let's go play kickball, kids type of thing. And I quickly realized exactly what this program was about. And so on my way here, on every median strip, at every light, I passed people with signs asking for money. And our goal and our mantra is, those are not our kids, and those will not be our kids. We want them to get an education. We want them to stay in school. We want them to have the grit, the perseverance, the chutzpah, the determination, so that they have something more for themselves than what some of their parents have currently.
So, and it's so refreshing to hear this kind of non-agency talk. It's about the people and the youth that you're serving. Are there fees to go to this program?
There are no fees.
No fees?
There are no fees at all because the bottom line is that, again, most of the kids that are coming through our red doors,
The magical red
the
doors.
magical red doors, they don't have the financial wherewithal to pay anything. We are serving 80 to 90 kids a day. We're serving 17,000 meals a year, dinners.
So when you talk about the need for cash, it's just not to supplement the program, but it's really to keep the doors open.
That's exactly right. Only 12% of our funding is stable for this year, and the remaining 88% I have to raise through a variety of methods. So it's a Herculean task in of itself.
How large is your budget
Our budget is over $600,000.
with a 30-year left mortgage?
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think we've reached our midpoint identifier, and what happens now, and I just told Donna about it right before the show, is I get to ask you a trivia question. And,
Yay.
And the trivia question is try to relate a little bit to what you do in the areas that you work in. And you have no idea what this is.
I do not.
No, and you'll probably never talk to me after this question. And this is a multiple choice question. So you have a third of a chance of getting it right, okay?
You have this evil look on your face right now.
Well, I do get pleasure in looking up these
Yes,
questions.
I can see that.
All right, so in which category of households have the highest percentage of poverty in Westbrook? Is it a married couple family, male with no wife present, or female and no husband present? And this is WMPG 90.9 and 104.1 FM Community Radio of Southern Maine and Eastern New Hampshire, WMPG. And this is David Unger and Nonprofit Insider. Today we have Donna Dwyer, Executive Director of My Place Teen Center. So, do you have an answer to the trivia? Shall I repeat it?
And regrettably, I believe that it's C.
Female with no husband present?
Yes.
You're absolutely right. And I got this information from www.city-data.com. And the information is based in 2009. And what struck me was the percentage. Okay, so female no husband present in poverty is 75.5%, while the male with no wife present is 3.8%. And the married couple is 20.6. I mean, that's a telling sign right there.
It is a telling sign. And again, I go back to the visual that we all see, we all experience. When we are sitting at the lights at those median strips, last Friday, I was at the Marginal Way median strip. And to my right was a female panhandler holding a sign, and I knew her. She is a mom. She is the parent to one of our kids. And so seeing her, knowing what the life is, was extremely compelling and driving us to ensure that we give these kids more than what they are experiencing right now. Her particular situation is she has a daughter. She has several children, but she has a daughter named Sierra, who's age 13. Sierra has been coming to us since she was 11 years old. She is the child of addicts. She has been homeless and couch surfing and passed around to family and friends for most of her life. Her most prized possession is her backpack because she carries her life in her backpack. Sometimes she can't carry her books because she carries her life in her backpack. We bought her a Metro bus pass because although she's resided in and out of Westbrook for most of her life, she now resides in Portland. She attends school every day, but she still wanted to come to the teen center, so we bought her a bus pass. So imagine her at the end of the school day getting on that Metro bus stop to a city away and coming to the teen center, where at that point she will spend her 5 hours doing her homework, hanging out with her friends, feeling loved, getting a hot meal. But then visualize at the end of the day having to go to the bus stop. We take her to the bus stop to get on that bus to go, I'm not sure where at that point. Where is she going to sleep? So I remember when I first met Sierra, one of the panhandlers on the median strip's daughter. And I met her 2 years ago. We were on the tennis courts. There were about 50, 60 kids taking tennis lessons. They were hooting, they were hollering, they were having a great time. It was just a wonderful experience and a lot of energy and a lot of motion and whatnot. But Sierra was flat, expressionless. She had a sour look on her face. She just was not having it whatsoever. And I was kind of annoyed by that, actually. And I went up to her, and remember, I didn't know her at that time. And I said, "Hey, Sierra, what's going on? How come you're not having fun like the other kids? How come you're not smiling?" And she looked at me and said very quietly, "I never smile. I don't have anything to smile about."
And she was 11.
She was 11. She was 11. So when I talk about our business model, we are in the business of keeping kids smiling and putting smiles back on kids' faces. That's our passion, and that's their life force. And so if a kid has to board a metro bus to come to and fro to us in order to feel safe, to be in a safe haven for 5 hours a day, we're going to do whatever it takes to ensure for that kid and for the 500 other kids that we serve that their life's future is not on that median strip.
And your work has been recently recognized, hasn't it?
It has. We had a very glorious experience, something that typically doesn't happen to most programs. And we are awarded the WCSH Agency of Distinction Award for 2014 on Monday night.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. You okay there?
Yes, I've been sick all week.
Oh, geez. Now
Sorry.
she tells me.
We're not kissing here today, right, David? So we're fine with
That's
that.
not on my agenda. So you received the Channel 6 Agency Recognition Award. That's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
And so I have to admit, and I've been in the nonprofit community in Portland for since 96. I never heard of you. You're one of the best kept secrets in the area, aren't you?
Well, our former name, we rebranded in 2013 to prepare for our growth, but our former name was Mission Possible Teen Center.
I still never heard of it.
The issue was with that former name, and we have to think about this, is that we're in a former church.
Right.
Funders were giving me feedback. We thought you were a religious organization, and although there's nothing wrong with that, a lot of funders don't fund
Right.
perceived religious organizations. And number two, people were saying, "Oh, you're Mission Impossible." And no, I would say, no, the mission is possible. So, and we also, because given our growth and what we've been experiencing, the kids were always saying, "My place to chill, my place to hang, my place to get a good meal." And so that's how come we rebranded is to the My Place Teen Center.
So if you had a angel show up and they said they wanted to give you $10,000, what would you do with it?
Well, that would get gobbled up pretty quickly. We would put it right back into programming. Right now, like I said, the only stable sources of funding are about $70,500. So think about where the rest of the $600,000 comes from.
So your role as executive director is also chief fundraiser.
Absolutely. And that is a large part of what I do. It's something that is really exciting. It's like a roller coaster ride, as you well know. It's an abyss of despair.
Yes.
It's an exhilarating ride to the top. And then you can go just sink right to the bottom very quickly.
Very quickly.
You have to have great resilience. But the analogy is,
As long as you understand the no is not personal.
well, my no is no means yes.
That's the whole basis of relationship-based fundraising.
No means
right.
yes. There have been many funders and many people who have provided resources to us throughout the years that they first said no to me. And I would quietly say to myself, they wouldn't see this with a little twinkle in the eye, I know that someday you will be saying yes, so just hold your horses there, Missy.
I think if I were to say you are a very determined individual, that would be kind of an understatement.
I like to call it being pleasantly persistent.
So if you had to give advice to an executive director, what would it be?
They have to have tremendous resiliency, passion. Obviously, they have to have a passion for the cause. They also have to they have to have a nonprofit heart with a corporate mindset.
And a lot of executives don't have that. They're just mission driven and they say, well, it's going to work out because of who we are and what we're. But you're running a business.
Yes, we're running a business just like any other business.
No. Nonprofits are not like any other business where you have to have a zero at the end of the year. You're not allowed to make money or lose money.
Well, I think that's actually a mistake because if you're not allowed to provide for some type of rainy day fund, we're in that position right now where I know mid-January, if I don't do something before then, that's the way it is. And that's the way this organization has functioned for all of its lifespan for 16 years.
Paycheck to paycheck.
And I'm determined that this is the life-changing year where we set ourselves up for a vision where we are not thinking we have 1 month. We have 2 months. That's ridiculous. Do I say to the 500 kids, excuse me, kids, the vision and the dreams that we hold forth for you, we can no longer do that now. So we have to, the analogy is, if we're asking the kids to function and access their current lives and their future with grit, persistence, charisma, compassion, and determination, we have to apply those same attributes to our work as well.
Absolutely. And that's a great philosophy to operate under. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, David, I thought this was all about you.
All right, cut the show, Deb. We're done.
Okay, David, so you've been in the field for a very long time.
Correct.
And you have a lot of expertise. So without saying funding, answer your own first question. What do you perceive to be the biggest challenge?
Board of directors right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay, in what way?
I see that there's a shift in what used to be the traditional board of directors to a new type of board of directors and understanding what their role and responsibility is. When I first started out in the field, we used the 3 W's and the 3 T's, wealth, wisdom, and work, the 3 components of a good board, or time, treasure, and talent. Unfortunately, it's now the 3 G's, give, get, or get off. And a lot of board members don't grasp the concept of what it means to be a leader in an organization that depends on fundraising. If the board can't raise funds or be part of the fundraising process, and these are my opinions and my opinions only, not WNPG or any of the other disclaimers, then how does the executive director function? And how does the executive director do the fundraising if the key leadership's not behind them? The whole traditional committee process and, that people would dedicate years and years to a board or a committee process, that's all changed where people want immediate gratification right now. They may be involved in one project and nothing else because that's all they have time for. So organizational structures have to kind of reflect where the community and the leadership is. And I see a lot of organizations struggling with that.
So how are you managing your board then? What kind of practices are you putting into place in order to maneuver that minefield?
My board, or
Your board.
I don't know.
You started off with your board,
Yeah.
or you can speak generically if you feel to go there.
Well, when I took my first executive director position, I met with one of my past presidents of the organization, and he gave me some words of advice that I've always carried with me, that whenever he hires an executive vice president of sales, he tells them what he wants to do, and then they go do it. If he hires somebody in the office, he explains how he wants his phones answered, and then they go do it. If he's hiring somebody to sweep the floors, he'll go sweep the floors for him once and say, "This is how I want to do it. Do you have any questions?" It's all about understanding and setting reasonable expectations with each other, that you know what the contract is, what you can expect from your president or your board, and they can know what to expect from you also. And when those expectations go out of sync, that's where I think you miss it. Did that make sense?
It does make sense. So if you're inheriting a board, and in your current position you inherited a board, so do you have that conversation up front? Do you have that during the interview process? How does that work?
Both. Because my experience has been, again, these are my opinions and my opinions alone. Sometimes what they say in an interview process doesn't necessarily reflect what actually happens. So, it takes a few years to work itself through, and it's not going to be an immediate process. So for an executive director to understand or think that they're going to come in and just take over or be in charge or get the board to do what they want to do after years of tradition, I think they're living in la-la land at that point.
Right. I have worked for 3 boards, and I have to say that this is the most phenomenal board.
That's great. We're running out of time. If anybody wants to contact you and help you out with some cash, how do they do that?
Thank you. Besides the magical red doors, myplaceteencenter.org.
And phone number?
It's 854-2800.
Well, thank you for being on the show. This was a great experience. I do not have a
you.
guest next week because Donna was supposed to be here, but she's here this week. The music appears courtesy